So we're looking at elasticity of demand. So by the time we're done with this unit, we should be able to understand what elasticity is and what kinds of issues can elasticity help us understand. We should also be able to determine what price elasticity of demand is and how it is related to the demand curve, how it is related to expenditure and revenue. We also look at elasticity of supply and how it is related to supply. And so, to begin with, elasticity simply measures how much one variable responds to the changes of another. So the basic idea here is we need to look at responsiveness. So if you want to make bread and your neighbor is making fritters, how does the demand for your bread become if the price of fritters goes below your. So that's what elasticity is all about. But before I proceed as much, we'll go back to the determinants of demand. So we had in our first class explained what factors affect demand. Who remembers? Factors that affect demand, these ones are very key in determining the elasticity of demand. So we talked about the price of that particular good, PX. So this is what makes on price elasticity of demand because we're dealing with what? The particular commodity. So this makes what we call on price elasticity of demand. So on price elasticity of demand is also called ED, elasticity of demand. It is simply the percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in what? In price. So elasticity of demand will range between negatives. To start with, elasticity of demand is always negative because demand has a negative slope. So elasticity of demand will range between these key elements. So between 0 and -1, demand is known to be inelastic. Anything starting with 0, it is insensitive. Examples of inelastic demand is the price of mini-meal. People will just complain whether they increase, but you still have to buy. Unit elastic is simply a 50-50 thing. We know that when you increase price, demand will go down. But if you increase price by 1% and if you increase price, let me start with inelastic demand. Ideally, if you increase price, you are supposed to decrease in quantity. So if you increase price, you're supposed to decrease in quantity. That is how the law of demand operates. If you increase price, demand must go down. That's the reason why you have a negative elasticity of demand. Demand curve is downsloping. It's like this. It is given by P is equal to A minus BQ. So this demand curve is downsloping. So if your price increases by 5% and quantity decreases by 5%, it's a 50-50 thing. So we call that unit elastic. But if your price increases by 5% and you're going to lose your demand by less than 5%, and number 4, 3, 2, this is called inelastic. So inelastic will range from 0 to 1. So anything negative 0.1, it is inelastic. Negative 0.4, it is inelastic. Negative 0.9 is inelastic. Until you reach 1, 1 it is unit elastic. Anything above 1 is elastic. So you need to be careful with the price changes. So if you're going to increase price by 5% but lose demand by 10%, so this means demand is elastic. So any elasticity above 1 can be -2, -200. This is elastic. So -1.5, elastic. -2.5, elastic. -10, -100, all these are elastic, they're sensitive. So you need to understand the interpretation there. So elasticity is very important for pricing decisions. It can also work in your favor if you're dealing with a perfectly sensitive market, which you call a perfectly elastic market. You know that the price of tomato is what? 10 kwacha. And you're going to sell yours at 8 kwacha. People are sensitive, they'll come, more of them. So any slight decrease will increase your demand by a bigger margin because people are sensitive. Even prices for fuel is very elastic. We know that fuel is 10 kwacha per liter. And you find someone who's selling 9.8 kwacha per liter. You discover that people will buy more because they understand that every penny counts. So elasticity of demand works in that manner. So we're going to use three ways of calculating elasticity of demand using the graphs, using the formula of intervals, using calculus. Either of them will give us an exam experience. So far, are we together? So we talk about fuel. If fuel increases, the price of fuel increases from P1, which is 10 kwacha, and increases to P2, which is 15 kwacha. So this has caused demand to decrease, obviously. When demand was 100 units, now demand is decreasing because you have increased the price. You're buying 100 units, now you're buying what? 40 units. So what is the elasticity of demand? So elasticity of demand is given by what? Percentage change in quantity demanded. So percentage change is Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 times 100. That's a percentage change in quantity. The same percentage change in what price? P2 minus P1 over P1 times 100. So if we get an answer, which is negative 0 point something, that is inelastic. 1 unit elastic. More than 1, it is inelastic. Holding absolutes in question. So here, don't say because -1 is smaller than +1, but just clearly using a layman's language, you say, I'm figures are equal more than 1, just know they're elastic. Whether it's a negative or positive, but we know elasticity of demand is always negative. So here, what is Q2? 40 minus what? 100 over what? 100 times what? 100%. What we get on the numerator? -40%. So you put it here, -40%. Then we go to the percentage change in price. P2, 15 minus 10 over 10 times 100%. What we get here? We get 50%. So we divide here by 50%, equals to 50%. So when you divide that, we're going to get negative 0 0.8. Can somebody help me comment? What type of elasticity are we having here? Elasticity of demand is what? Is it elastic, inelastic, or unit? So anything starting with a 0 is what? Inelastic. So in this case, what is our comment? It is inelastic. Are we together? So this has to do with demand elasticity. So it is on price. So we also have what we call income, the income effect. Income also has its own formula. So we know that whenever we get a negative for income, the negative means what? That good is a complement. So there are two types of goods under income. There's a inferior good and a normal good. Negative will give you an inferior good if your elasticity is negative. An inferior good is a good that you demand less of when your income goes up. Example, thrifted clothes. When your money goes up, you buy designer clothes. So not because you can't afford uh, thrifted clothes, but you can afford better. So here, the scenario is simply when you get a negative here, this is what? An inferior good. When you get a positive there, this is what? A normal good. So that is one thing you need to know. Of course, the normal good, if it's more than one, it becomes a luxury. A luxury is a good we can do without. For instance, we get elasticity, which is positive for income, and you're getting maybe positive two. It's a luxury. It can be a Lamborghini, aircon, which you can do without. Then if you do deal with related goods, we have two types of goods. We have what we call substitute goods and complementary goods. So even in like manner, if you get a negative, it's called a complementary good. A good which is complementary is a good that cannot do without the other. Car and fuel. So if you hear that the cars have become cheaper, the demand for fuel will also go up because people will now be consuming fuel. A positive, it means a substitute good. A substitute good is a good that competes. Okay, if one is not doing fine, the other one will come in like Coke and Pepsi. So this is a substitute good. So sometimes you may be given an equation that is linear. For instance, Qx is equal to 10 minus 2px plus 3py plus 10m. So we have good x, good y, and m is for income. So we are told that the price for good x is 4 kwacha, the price for good y is 5 kwacha, and our income is 8 kwacha. So what is the quantity demanded? So to calculate the quantity demanded, we just substitute those figures that have been given there. So we're going to have 10 minus 2px, for this px we put what? A 4, plus 3py, minus y we put a 5, plus 10m. So here we have 8. So here we're going to have 10 minus 8 plus 15 plus 80. What we get? So we're going to get 97. So the quantity demanded is 97. So I repeat, we're given a demand function here. I know that this demand has two goods, X and Y. The price of good X is 4 kwacha, the price of good Y is 5 kwacha, and the income is 8 kwacha. Just by looking at this, you're able to tell whether these are substitute goods or these are complementing each other. So if the signs here are opposing each other, just know that good X and good Y are substitute goods. But if there's negative here and negative here, they're complementing each other. Just know that they're complements. Just from the signs, you're able to tell that these are what? These are substitute goods. So if there's minus 2px minus 3py, just know that these are complementary goods. Then on the income, just look at the sign here. If the sign is negative for the income, just know it's an inferior good. If the sign is positive for the income, just know that it is what? It's a normal good. So I gave you the notes here. But you could as well calculate this the way I'm going to take you. So I can repeat 10 times if you are lost. If I'm a bit fast, please tell me to go through again. At this point, I'll allow for questions. If you don't have questions, I can ask. Question number one. If income elasticity is negative, what type of a good is it? If income elasticity is negative, what type of a good is it?
Inferior good.
Inferior good. Good. If cross price elasticity, cross price has to do with the related goods. If cross price elasticity has a positive elasticity, what type of good is it? If cross price elasticity, the answer is a positive. What type of good is it? It's a substitute good. So cross price elasticity has to do with related goods. So a positive means these are substitute goods. A negative means these are complementary goods. So for income elasticity, if you get a positive answer, what type of a good is it? It is a normal good. However, if it is more than one, it is actually a normal good, but a luxurious good. Elasticity of demand is always negative. Why? Because the demand equation is downsloping and it has an inverse relationship. The law of demand simply says the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. So P1, the price goes up from P1 to P2, quantity will decline from Q2 to Q1. When elasticity of demand is negative 1, what type of elasticity is that? It is unitary. When elasticity of demand is negative 2, what type of elasticity is that? It is elastic. So now we've been given this question. What is the relationship between good X and good Y? What is the relationship between good X and good Y? Since the signs are different, good X has a slope of negative 2 and good Y has a slope of positive 3. From the signs, you're able to tell that these are substitute goods. However, if good Y was negative 3 and good X was negative 2, we could still tell that these are complementing or complementary goods. Okay, so from the equation there, what type of good is this in terms of income? Is this an inferior good or a normal good? It is what? Since there's a positive there, the positive denotes that it's a normal good. Now, to calculate the actual elasticities of cross price elasticity, of on price elasticity, and income elasticity. So, on price elasticity is good X on X. So, let's now understand the slopes that we have. The slope is simply the gradient. Good X, what is the gradient for good X? Negative 2. Just pick the numbers. What is the gradient for good Y? B for good Y? Positive 3. What is the gradient for income? Positive 10. All right. So if that is the gradient, so we're going to now calculate our elasticity of demand X on X, that is on price elasticity. It is simply what? The gradient for good X. Everything's about X. the price of good X, which we're given, and the quantity of good X. So what was the gradient for good X? -2. -2 there. What was the price for good X? It was given as what? 4. Put a 4. What is our quantity that we calculated for QX? 97, which is this one here. So this is 2 times, that is 8 over 97. 8 divided by 97. You get negative 0.08. So what is the comment here? The 0.08. Demand is what? Inelastic. Demand is inelastic. Then let's go to cross price elasticity. Cross price is crossing from good X to good Y. What is the formula? The gradient for good Y over the price for good Y, now divided by the quantity of X. So it's crossing from good Y to good X. What was the gradient for good Y? +3. What was the price for good Y? When given here, the price for good Y is what? 5. So we put 5 there. Then what was the quantity? 97. So this will give us what? 3 times 5 is 15. 15 over 97 is positive 0.15. So here we're interested in the sign. So the sign here is telling us that it's a positive cross price elasticity. So what is our comment? It's a substitute code. All right. Then finally, we go to the income elasticity. So income elasticity, EM, is equal to what? The gradient for the income, the price for the actual income over the quantity of X. So what was the gradient for the income? Positive 10. The actual income was given as 8 over what? 97. So 10 times 8 is 80. 80 over 97. What are we getting? We're getting 0.82 positive. So here it's able to tell that this is what? A positive income elasticity. So what type of a good is this when income elasticity is positive? Anyone? What type of a good is this when income elasticity is positive? Is it a normal good or an inferior good? Is it a normal good or an inferior good? Anyone?
If income is negative, it's inferior good.
Okay, in this case we get positive. So what type of a good is this?
It's a normal good.
It's a normal good, correct. So let's go now to the exam question. So the exam here has given us the demand for a fruit drink, fruity. It is given by Q is equal to 10 minus 5p, 0.01 I, 10 py. So we're given the price of the fruit, 2 kwacha, the income, 20,000, and also the competing brand, 2.5. So this is no different from what we have just discussed, or from discussing. But now, I want us to analyze this question. It's a 25 mark question, which desires our attention. So we've been given all the parameters that we need. So, and the question has been broken down. The first part of the question is asking us, number one, what is the effect of the changes in the parameters px is got one now px, the income, and py on monthly consumption for fruity per family. So in short, what is the quantity? So how do you find the quantity? How do you find the quantity of fruity juice?
We need to substitute the letters with the amounts given or the numbers given.
Yes. To find the Q, we just substitute what has been given there. As simple as that. So we just need to calculate the value of what? Of Q. Like we did, it's like we are being asked to calculate the annual demand. So we substitute with the value. So what have we been given? The value of PX has been given, the value of I income has been given, and the value of PY. So if we substitute in there, the total value of what we get is what we're going to um, get. But also, you need to understand the interpretation. What is the interpretation of the intercepts there? Okay, the interpretation of the gradients there. So the effect of these parameters that we have before the px, we have a 5. Before the I, we have the 0.01. So that's the question is asking us, what do they mean in short? So let's interpret them. Number one, on the 5, which is on the 5 here. So it means -5. It means that for every $1 or 1 kwacha increase in price of fruity, monthly consumption will decrease by 5 liters. So this negative relationship, it aligns with the law of demand. So if we increase by 1 kwacha, we're going to reduce a consumption of fruity by 5 liters. Then here, this 0.001, what does it mean? It means for every 1 kwacha or $1 increase in our income as a family, it will also increase what? Consumption of fruity by 0.01 liters. So the higher the income, the more the consumption. So this is in tandem with what happens with the normal good. So all normal goods, you buy more of them as income goes up, right? But if you're buying less of that thing, just know that that is what? An inferior good. Then here, what does this 10 parameter mean? For every 1 kwacha increase in price, the monthly income, it will mean that consumption for the fruity will also increase by 10 liters. So this positive is suggesting that this is a competing brand, and the competing brand is a substitute good. So you can tell that this is a substitute good just by looking from what I explained. Are we together? Does it align with the principles I was talking about? Are we together?
Yes.
All right. So the second part of the question is, at the stated values, calculate the monthly consumption in gallons for fruit. So here now, this is where what we're doing at first applies. So we need to calculate the value of Q. The value of Q, we just need to substitute what? The stated values there that have been given. So the Px is 2.0. The income is what? Is given as 20,000. And the price of Y is given as 2.5. So when we substitute that, we're going to have is as follows. So we're going to calculate our 2.0 here, 20,000 here, 2.5 here. So when you substitute that, we're going to get 45 liters. But they're asking it in gallons. We know that 1 gallon is 3 point what? 785 liters. So just divide this what 5 by 3.875 liters. That is 11.89 gallons in terms of gallons. All right. So this is our quantity of 5 liters, if you may like. Then the next question is asking us what? So far, are we together? Is there anyone lost? Am I a little bit fast for somebody? Can I repeat something? Memory, especially the babies. Are you completely lost? Are you following?
Yes, sir. We are following.
Okay. Susan, are we together?
Yes, we are.
All right. Please, this is your class where you're behind. Chimba, are we together? Where you're behind, I'll re-explain for you. Don't want to
No,
lose
yes.
anyone. Okay, so now we've been told that suppose the monthly income has increased. Initially it was 20,000, now it is 30,000. Now, how does this change in part B? How does this change your answer in part B? And does it follow the law of demand? What does the law of demand say? If you increase income, what happens? There's a quantity for that particular good. If it increases, meaning it's a normal good. If it decreases, it's an inferior good. So let's see if increasing our income from 20,000 to 30,000 will increase the demand for that particular good. Then we can tell that this is an income. What did we say? We can say that it is um, an inferior good if there was a decrease in the what? Remember our initial was for 5 liters. Let's see if we put the 30,000 here, whether it will decrease from 45 liters or it will increase. So here where we have 20,000, we put a 30,000. So we've now increased to 55 liters from 45 liters or 14.53 gallons. So this has increased. So meaning when income increases, forcing the quantities to increase, that type of good is called a what? What type of good is that called? Anyone? Is it an inferior or a normal good? So we can
It's a normal good.
conclude that it's a normal good, yes. According to the law, according to the law of demand, it says that the relationship between the price and quantity demanded is inverse. But here we're examining the income effect. So since the increase in income will lead to an increase in demand for fruit, so it confirms that this is a normal good. So for normal goods, the demand increases as income increases. For inferior good, the opposite happens. All right. So our next question now, therefore, is as a manager, you are interested in estimating demand for fruit. Aside the variables included in this equation, what other factors will affect demand? So this was our first class yesterday. What are some of the factors that affect demand for fruity juice in this case? So be contextual. What do you think are factors that will affect the demand for fruity? Uh-huh. Anyone? And I love that juice, by the way. It's not very pure juice, but it's close to the original. What factors will affect your demand for fruity juice? Yes, Mchimba? We're just looking at the factors that affect demand. Generally, what factors affect demand?
The price of fruit juice, of course.
Yes. So other factors besides what has been mentioned. So the preferences, the weather, whether it's hot, okay, the expectations, the policies that will come there. All right. And lastly, but not the least, question number E, explain the significance of economic theory, the relationship between price and the perceived quality. What is the relationship there? So the relationship between price and perceived quality is significant because it can influence the behavior and demand elasticity. So if people perceive that this has higher quality, they'll buy more of it. So we end here, and I'll send you homework based on what has been taught. Thank you so much for your time and have a good evening.